Historic Preservation Commission meeting. It is 6 p.m. We're going to begin with a roll call. Tonight, we're going to go around the room, and we're asking that all members introduce themselves, speaking their name into the microphone.
Laura Powell.
I am Elizabeth Jones, the chair,
Mark Hamas.
Faye Brassey.
and absent today is Jane Camp. Now we will allow the city staff to introduce themselves.
I'm Brad Callender, Planning and Zoning Director.
Laura Wilson, Code Administration.
Sarah Shropshire, Community Development Director.
And next on the agenda, we have the approval of the agenda as submitted. Has everyone had a chance to look over the agenda? Yes. We'll ask that all members show approval with a raise of your hand and a vocalization into the microphone.
Approve.
Approved.
Yes, approve.
Do we have, okay, well, actually, I'm going to ask for a motion. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Approve.
Motion carried. Do we have, next on the agenda, we're going to have approval of the minutes from, think about what month we're approving. Let's see.
4.
I'm thinking about the date of the last meeting. Let's see.
25th.
Or 25.
April 25th.
Yeah, April 25th, okay. Has everybody had a chance to look over those minutes? Can I have a vocalization?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you looked over those
Yes.
minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes as submitted?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda, we have old business. First on the agenda, we have the request for COA demolition, 1251 South Madison Avenue. Will the applicant for 1251 South Madison Avenue please approach the podium and state his name for the record? Hello again.
Hello, my name is Robert Goodis. I am one of the principal partners of Arnold Property Management and Arnold Properties in the community of LLCs that go with it.
Thank you. Laura, are we going to do something a little bit different today, or are we going to go ahead and proceed with this one?
We're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to provide the commission members a brief overview of your application. So this is, as he stated, for a demolition request at 1251 South Madison Avenue. This is a residential property located in the South Madison Avenue and Pinnell Road Historic District. The house is up here near the intersection of 8th and South Madison. This is the front facade of the house. And then here is some pictures of what the house currently looks like today as provided by the applicant.
Thank you, Laura. We had tabled this application at your request the last time we were here. Do you have any updates for us?
I made a request to table and not come before this commission in April to allow any citizens or any business interests that might have a desire for the home itself and/or the property to try to give more time based on the concerns of this commission. And we had one individual and one realtor who was representing this individual who wanted to come and look at it. We allowed them entry. We made a freestanding offer to sell them the house for $1. We also gave them the incentive that we would help them transport this home to a desired location within a certain amount of miles from the site as to provide some assistance for it. They brought in a builder. The builder looked it over, and they came to the conclusion it was in too difficult a shape to move it without destroying it. We wanted to be very patient. We wanted to be very cooperative with this commission. I feel as a representative of the family and a representative of the business, and being in this community for over 30 years and not coming to this commission for any other value other than this particular event, my request for demolition is still ongoing, and I hereby request consideration for that based on all the assistance and time that I've provided. I'm more than happy to take any questions from any of the commission members and the chair.
Okay. Prior to a discussion, I do have something I would like to read. The Monroe, Georgia Code of Ordinances, Chapter 54, Historic Preservation, this is Section 54-174 on relocation and demolition considerations, has a few specific things in it. Part 2 states whether there are definite plans for the, well, let me back up. It says, a decision by the Historic Preservation Commission approving or denying a certificate of appropriateness for the relocation of a building, structure, or object shall be guided by the historic character and aesthetic interest of the building, structure, or object contributes to its present settings or historic district, whether there are definite plans for the area to be vacated, and what the effect of those plans on the character of the surrounding area or historic district will be. And then down here it says, whether there are definite plans for the use of the property if the proposed demolition is carried out, and what the effect of those plans on the character of the surrounding area would be, whether the building, structure, site, or object is capable of earning reasonable economic return on its value as appraised by a qualified real estate appraiser. And I think where we have found some concerns is that we have not seen definite plans for this area, for this property. And that there was some belief that the building itself, if it was restored, it would be capable of earning reasonable economic value on its reasonable economic return on its value. So that was discussed. So I don't know if
We didn't discuss moving it, but selling it on site and restoring it there, if it would be possible to just sell a little bit of, the land with it so that someone could feasibly restore it.
I've been in this business a long time. My idea of carving out just a dwelling, giving it access to a different owner who could then petition for a variant for a different zoning purpose, where I'm not allowed to do that based on the historical preservation restrictions. I just have my concerns about that.
Could we not do that?
I'm sorry, could you elaborate on what you're describing? Because that's not what's before this commission right now.
Well, what I'm describing is that it's, Charles, if somebody were to take ownership of it, the current zoning does not allow for a different construction, a different zone variant, meaning that you can't put a multifamily, you can't put certain types of residential changes to it other than a single family. That's what it's calling for now. If somebody else became an owner, showed goodwill, and then came before the commission or came before this commission or the city and tried to get a different zone classification for development, That would be a concern of mine.
Are you suggesting that you would continue to be the owner if you sold it to someone and they came in and asked for it? I'm not following the zoning.
My logic is not to carve out that piece.
When you say carve out, you're talking about subdivide the property.
No, meaning that allowing for an individual to come buy it, buy 1251 in its current form.
Correct?
The rest of the plat, where I would own it, is not comfortable, is not,
I don't follow you at all. So
Well, I'm-
you're talking about
and
the
I
rest
may
of
be
the plat. So if
misunderstanding.
you're talking about the entire property unsubdivided, if you sold that, it would not be subdivided.
well, we own the property that's contiguous to it.
That's a different lot. We're not talking about that lot, correct?
I understand that.
Right, so we're
but
not speaking about that lot in this case.
I understand that, but nobody has come to me.
But,
Have you
but
listed
they
the
wouldn't,
property with a real estate agent?
No, I haven't.
but they wouldn't, I mean, it'd still be, that's what we're trying to do is protect the house.
I
They have to
understand that.
come before us, and that's not what we want. We want the house to be maintained where it is in the historic district.
And I respect that. I respect that as this commission. I don't believe that I've done any actions or any statements that alter your
Right.
your concerns.
So, and I'm coming into this late maybe, so, but your question, just brass tacks, you want to demolish it, correct?
That is correct. That is my
So-
request.
As Elizabeth just read, my big concern is, so what are you going to, we can't speak on it until you tell us what you're going to do with it after you demolish it.
I have no plans for that parcel at this time. My only concern is, as a property owner and as the owner of that dwelling, in its current condition, it's a hazard. I've been cited by the city code department for this concern. This is how I am being presented to you, is that the city code department in the last 3 to 5 years has deemed that dwelling inhabitable, dangerous.
Because of neglect?
Yes.
It could be for many reasons, but the reason that it is in its current form is it's just not inhabitable. Neglect, that's for somebody else to decide. My concern is I am on record with the City Code Department of Monroe, coming before you. I feel, from a business and a personal standpoint, I have done many things to try to be as delayed as possible on this. But my plan is to answer your question directly.
Yes, sir.
There is no plans for development for 1251 South Madison. My only plan is to try and make that dwelling, which is inhabitable, which is dangerous, to be removed and demolished. As sad as that may be, I apologize for that, but that's just my position.
What if we could get some people that are doing renovations in the city to look at it with the plan of renovating it on that site? Would that make you more comfortable? If you have somebody that you know does renovation, that would be willing to take it on with that?
Well, we had initiated, and I think I presented at one time early on in the stage of this request, that there were 2 to 4 phases that it was going to take to restore.
Right.
And these phases came in 6-figure events. As much as I want to be as cooperative as I can with this commission, it came to pass that after we started to do some of the phase 1 estimations, and 2, that the cost to bring that home to the conditions that this commission would require is not something that we can uphold.
I think we're hearing estimations of costs, and I think he's given us that, but I don't think, what we haven't heard is an estimation of what, what income, and what I read before, of what income it could bring if it was restored. And that is what, that's what that is what the Code of Ordinances states. So I think you need to think about it, and if you have any questions about it, about this code, you need to think, because that's what we have to refer to when you're making your decisions.
When we looked at it, and excuse me for interrupting, when we looked at it, the first consideration that we looked at was trying to save the dwelling, if we went to that extent. Based on what this commission has required, I can't speak for anybody else who are in the historical section of the city, but for that particular dwelling, the roof structure and the roof materials that you're talking about is more than a six-figure event, just for that roof. Now, I use the house that's in the historical near us, across the street. They're not using that kind of roof structure and roof material. They tore off that roof and went with a strict shingle, standard shingle. I wouldn't be allowed to do that on that.
Which house are you talking about?
I believe
One
it's
next to it or across?
the one that's down the road as you go towards the city on the left side. They commissioned to, they had approval to demolish it, and then the owner decided not to.
Right, okay,
They just put a new roof on there as a standard black shingle roof.
right.
If I did that, I would be held in error of what this commission would require. And I can tell you, from a professional point of view, that type of roof, that kind of structure, that kind of material is over a six-figure phase. Over. Just for that. Yes, I am in the rental business. I fully admit who I am. And I can just tell you, the effort to restore that, as sad as it might be, is just not in my business plan. It's just not what we do. And I've tried to be patient with the effort to try to have individuals who might be attracted to it. It has been like that for several years. So it's not been, this is not a new event.
Does anyone have any questions? Do we have any questions from the public? Do we have a motion?
I'm going to be that guy. My only question still would go back to what the future plans of this are. As far, like we said, as far as in the code, we need to know. So, and I understand what you're saying, but I'm scared that if, so we demolish it, is it green space now? Is it, in 2 months, are you going to sell it and we have apartments on it?
Well, I'm in the
Single
apartment,
house.
I'm in the apartment and
Yes,
rental
sir.
business. That's
Right.
that's what me and my
Right, so that's
family
my-
do
that's
for a
my-
living.
That's my question.
My answer to you is that this, and this is because everything is subject to change. There is no plans for any development on that property. My only plan is to comply with the city code department and do something with that structure so I am not held in any more contempt than I really am right now. That is my answer. I can't, would I ever guarantee 5, 10, 12, 15 years asking for some form of zone variant for a constructive site?
Real estate appraisal.
I can't tell you I would never do that. That would be me presenting something that is not true.
Right.
And I don't think you would want me to go there.
Number 7 in your standards. You'd asked the question a minute ago. You were giving me that look. And Can I ask a question then, Madam Chair?
Yes.
All right, so have you ever had a real estate appraisal done on the property that would show its value with the improvements that you would make based on your estimate? If you improve that property, have you had an appraisal done that says this is what the property will be worth once you've improved the property?
No, I have not done that.
It's one of your standards. Because given, I mean, I agree, there's probably a large sum that would be required to upgrade the property and get it back into some livable shape. I think one of the standards you had mentioned was that it's supposed to have a qualified real estate appraisal done to show its potential economic impact with those improvements. Because it could have a much higher value than the actual improvements itself if it actually is restored. I think that's what why the standard's written in the code of ordinance.
But it cannot be used as a multifamily
Right,
destination.
I don't think we're
And
talking
so,
about land use.
and
It's a
so-
single-family structure, so we're not speaking about multifamily.
I respect that.
Yeah.
single family.
This is not a zoning dilemma, and as far as I'm concerned, it's zoned for single family, it's a single family structure.
Do we have any more questions?
Would you feel we've answered all these? We don't have an appraisal of future income from it. It's improved.
We do not.
It's not income,
No.
no, it's the, if he were to sink that much money that it is, that his estimate is provided, says that it would cost to restore the structure, would that cost obviously be?
Capable earnings.
Right, well, capable of actually producing a value home that's gonna be worth it. Like, is that large sum that he described gonna be, provide that home any value to someone that would want to buy it once it's restored? You know, does it go from, does $200,000 worth of improvements raise the value to $500,000 that someone wants to buy? I'm not saying that's the actual number, I'm just giving you an idea. Is the appraisal, the potential appraisal of the improvements elevate the value of the home to a point where the improvements would be necessary to save it?
Is it justified?
Right.
Should we have those information, those numbers brought to us before we vote? Because I just feel like we don't have enough information to vote to either way. How many acres do you have in that whole plot?
Not including the Pennell Road, just in that it's, and I'm sorry, I don't have the exact amount.
That's
It's
okay,
two.
about.
What's that?
1.99
I
is what
was
the
about to
assessor
say
has.
it's about 2, and then the one that's contiguous is another 1.1. So there's about 3 acres that does work together on that corner.
Oh, Laura, this one's been tabled several times, though, hasn't it?
It has. It was originally brought to you last December,
Yes.
so we're going on 6 months now.
We need to go ahead and vote on this one.
I would agree, yes.
Yes, okay. All right, so we probably do need to go ahead and vote on this.
Do what?
We need to go ahead and vote on this, Faye. Okay. Does anybody have any more questions? No? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Nope.
All right.
Taking another motion?
So is there another motion?
I move that we deny based on the points that you've mentioned and the fact that I think it should be advertised more, and hopefully someone could buy it if they actually see it advertised.
Madam Chair? Ms. Fay, can you specifically state the reasons why you deny it, not just,
Based on the questions that she said that for the public, let me go back.
or if you wanted to tell me the numbers?
Historic, aesthetics, interest in the building structure. It's one of the few gable L buildings with original tin roof and got East Lake trim. And I feel like it is the cornerstone of that historical section. And as far as how much money it would take to renovate it, I think that the amount, if it were sold, could be something that someone personally would want to put in it as a home place for them.
Okay, do I have a second?
A second, what Faye said.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
Was-
So I've got 2 in favor and
You
then,
need to, you need
Yeah.
to ask if there's opposition.
Okay, do I have any opposition?
That would be me, yes.
Okay, so I have 2 in favor, Laura and Faye, and then I have 1 opposed, Mark. Motion carried? Or motion denied?
Well, the motion's approved to.
Motion approved.
Approved to
Oh, I'm
deny,
sorry.
deny the demolition, correct.
Motion approved to deny demolition.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. The next up on the agenda, we have request for COA 120 Mirror Street shed.
Go ahead.
all right?
Do I have, is that not correct?
Yes, but I'm going to
Let her introduce it.
introduce it.
Gotcha.
real quick. Okay, so our next applicant is the 120 Mirror Street in the Monroe and Walton Mills Historic District. Here, you can see it up here on Mirror Street near Radford. They are requesting to add a shed to the property. Now, the shed is already there. It is located here in the rear of the property. And here are, a couple of photos of what the shed looks like. So here you have the front of the building. Down here, I'm sorry, it's not a fantastic picture. And then that is what the shed looks like.
This is the Graceful Manor Senior Care Home. I came before you guys a year or so ago for an addition, and that's underway right now. So if you've ridden past, they're working, the contractors are working fastly.
Can I have y'all just state your name into the microphone, just for the record?
Kelly and Alan Connerly.
Thank you so much.
So the shed, we really needed the shed for, especially for, we're having to demo some rooms inside with the attachment, so we needed the space to put some things out there, just because we don't have enough storage. And so we needed that, you know, to have there during the demolition. And then we also need it for wheelchair storage, stuff like that, if that's okay. You know, whenever a resident comes, they all come from the hospital with a brand-new wheelchair, and then sometimes they go home without them, so you got lots of them, and they're a fall risk, and we just need the storage for several reasons.
Is this temporary then, once you get your building
But we
done?
would like to keep it if we could, you know, I mean, we put it in place because the contractors were about to start, and we needed to clear out a room down at the end of the way where where the rooms are being attached. So, but it's really coming in handy. So, you know, if it's not too much of an eyesore, it is the same color of the building, we really would like to keep it.
Will you keep it in the same place, or
Really, that's the only place that we have to keep it. Our neighbors, we have 2 of our neighbors here, the church next door, and then we have Chad on the other side, which is his home. So there's not really much, you know, the lot is full. Yeah, if it's okay. I mean, the only other thing we could do would be to move it all the way up behind the building, if that was needed.
Okay, let me give you this idea. And there's somebody else that's doing a shed, so you can listen, and I won't say it twice. But when you have 2 subjects, one is dominant and one you want to be subordinate.
Yes, ma'am.
Right now, when you look at that, if you squint your eyes, what do you see? You see the shed, you don't see your other building. And there are 2 reasons for that. One is the way it's painted, all that white's just sticking out.
That's aluminum, that's an aluminum roof.
Well, I'm just telling you what we're seeing. We're seeing all that, the light color, and it makes it stand out. Now, the other thing is the shape of the roof. Usually you want to have an auxiliary building to have the same roof line or similar to what your major building is, so it kind of all goes together.
Right.
And I know you've already spent money on this, because if you'd come to us first, we would have probably denied it, because it doesn't go with your building. So for me, what needs to happen if you keep it is we need to make it not look like it's standing out.
Well, the reason it has the 10 there, and if you were where my buildings connect, if you were looking from the front vision, that is
I
also
see that. I
10
saw that.
from the
I
front,
can see,
yes.
I can
So,
see
but I
that.
mean, we can definitely paint the 10.
But
I mean, we
but
can
the
paint it
white,
dark brown.
all the white trim
Uh-huh.
makes it visually
can
more
fix that, too.
interesting
Yeah.
than your church building.
Right.
You see
We'll
what
be
I'm
glad to
saying?
do that. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, can I speak?
Yes.
I would like to remind the commission that this is an accessory structure not attached to the historic structure. They're not meant to be permanent. You're going to have it for some years, but they are not meant to be permanent. And I would just like to remind them of that. Thank you.
Right.
I would agree with that.
Paint, I think, would be appropriate to make it look not so outstanding.
Madam Chair. Additionally, you guys do not have any say over paint color.
No paint
So-
color, but just not white.
Yes.
That's a paint color.
Well, I'm just saying, not
And since
dominant, let me put
it's
it
a
that way.
non-
I had, it came before came before the board originally to paint the brick on the existing building. And so, and that's lava gray, Sherwin-Williams lava gray is.
We're not gonna
So,
dictate
if
what
we
color
went
we
with that
paint.
Same color,
We don't decide what color you paint it. You could paint it any color. We're not gonna decide what color you paint it. Does anyone else have a question they might want to ask her? Laura?
No, I just want to say, when I went to see the property, I even looked, like, because typically we try to put them behind the buildings where you can't see them, right? But it really couldn't be seen from all, like, when I drove around. So that's not really an option. It really is in the best place. Just me not working there or knowing the place. But I agree with Faye, but it's not the worst thing, in my opinion.
It
And
looks,
if it helps, y'all.
the bottom picture, it doesn't look as dominant as the upper picture.
The building
From-
itself
from
is
the angle.
beautiful, though. Like, the renovations or whatever y'all have done, it's a really pretty building now.
I encourage you to stop and come inside sometimes when y'all call it the church, because it is no form or fashion. That building was completely gutted out, all the way down. There's new framing, new sheetrock, everything. It's gorgeous inside. It's really pretty, and the addition is gonna be even prettier, because we're gonna be able to separate the different levels of memory care. But thank you for saying that. But we want to do whatever you want us to do, and forgive us for putting it out there without coming to ask for permission.
Mark?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Does anybody else on the panel have a question? Does anybody in the public have a question? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Needs painting,
Any opposed?
opposed?
Okay. Motion carries with approval by Laura and Mark, opposed by Faye. Motion passed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Coming up on yours. My phone keeps coming up on mine. I did that.
And the next request is request for COA 134 North Broad Street.
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, this is a downtown commercial building located in the Monroe Commercial Historic District. They have a request for exterior changes, including windows and signage and several other things that you can see on this next slide here.
If I could have you speak your name into the microphone.
Sure. My name's Chance Edwards with Nehemiah Construction.
Thank you, Chance. Can you tell us about your request, what you're requesting, and a little bit about the project?
Faye went out and visited the site a few weeks ago. We've basically, on the back of it, I think the first meeting that we came to, there was some concern about the color of brick that we were going to fill in to the right of the door.
This section over here.
We showed it all to Faye, and she loved it. I think that was the main point. Everything else is, we're just adding the sign on the front and the two gas lanterns on the right and on the left.
Yes, I see here my notes. I remember this, we were asking how the new and old brick were going to be incorporated.
It's going to be the best-looking back of a building in a terrible-looking alleyway that you'll find here in downtown Monroe.
And they're also, you're removing the shutters.
The shutters are, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And they're adding the 3 lights,
Love the sign.
It's going to be a very nice place for y'all to get your hair done.
Did anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Was there something about windows you were doing? Were you doing window replacement?
Well, the window, we were replacing the windows on the, they're an ugly beige color. Doesn't really go with the aesthetics of the building. So we were requesting to replace those with a black window with no shutters. And you'll just have blinds. I think it's going to be a brown type of blind on the inside.
Was
But it's basically going to look exactly like the photo on the left.
Was that the same light pattern that was there before?
No, it was a 6 grill. It was a 6 light window. We're going to try to match all the other windows that have no grills in them. There's no other building on the downtown area that I took pictures of that have grills in the windows. They're all 1 light windows, like you see in the photo.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Does anybody in the public have any questions? Do I have a motion?
I move that we accept this proposal as presented.
Thank you.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion unanimously approved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Be
Motion
open in
passed.
August.
Next on the agenda, we have request for COA, exterior changes, 314 South Wayne Street.
So 314 South Wayne Street is in the McDaniel Street Historic District. It's this lovely green house, and they have requested several exterior changes, mainly doing with the porch railings on the front that are hidden by these lovely bushes in this picture here. And then the rear of the house, where they dismantled some of it due to water damage and took off an old porch. But I'll let Mr. Sturgill explain.
Yes, well, the house had been sitting for several years in disrepair and had a large hole in the roof, and basically they let it rain in it for years and years. We bought the house and, brought it back to what it is now. We had to add to the right of the rear of the house. We did have to bring that out about 1.5 feet, so it did add about 7.5 square feet to the house itself. But we did come out with a gable roof as seen there.
It's good to see you again. Can I have you state your name into the microphone just for the record?
Shannon Sturgill.
Thank you so much.
And so we need to put the porch back, so we need to talk about that, and then the pickets on the front as well. I don't guess you have a picture of that, do you?
No, I didn't get a picture of the
Yeah,
pickets.
okay. Have y'all been by to see that sample panel we built?
Yes, and I've talked to Brad.
Oh, okay, yes, yes.
Did you have a picture of what the original front looked like?
No. Oh, well, I've seen what was online, yeah. Is that one?
Yeah. I talked to, can I talk?
Yes, yes, Faye, go ahead.
I talked to Brad and I talked to the code office. And the one picture we have, the
Miss-
original,
Ms. Fay, if I could interrupt for a minute, for clarity, for the record, Brad she is referring to is Mr. Sturgill's contractor,
Right.
not
Right.
Brad, the
oh, I'm sorry,
staff person sitting here, just for clarity.
Yes, correct.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Then I did talk to Pat in the code office,
Yes.
trying to figure out a way that we could keep the integrity of the house. The original balustrade is 30 inches. And he sent us another, we were trying to say, he's going to have 36 on the back. And so that this is congruent, we were trying to figure out that maybe we could go 30 inches on the, 34 on the front as a transition. He sent the picture, did you see the difference in the two? Brad did a mock-up of one of the sections in the porch.
Do y'all have these pictures?
Yes, I did
the
see that
new-
picture,
okay.
yes.
That's for the balustrade, but now the front, the handrail is done very different from this. Do you want a copy of this?
No, ma'am, I have it on email.
Does he have, oh, you have it, okay, for Brad. And the way the construction of this is, it has a double newel post with the,
There was one on the house when I acquired it. I mean, there was one there, it was rotted, had a hole in the back of it. I think you see it on that picture,
Right,
there's one,
right.
so.
right, but we need to have it put back like this with the double newel post and the two round caps on each side of the, are y'all with me on that? So that's my concern, that it's not just the front balustrade. We need to also do the handrail in the front and the back and all around so that they're,
Okay, I mean, I guess I'm at a loss what to do here, guys. I mean, I asked for a on-site meeting before the last meeting. I asked for you had told me we need to do an on-site meeting. One of you showed up at one time, said you liked the sample panel. You showed up and said, well, you liked it, but you'd rather have it done a different way. So we did it that way. We were told that y'all kind of overrode code on the historic part.
No.
So now I don't, this is the first time I've been given any dimensions.
well, I've been working with Brad, your contractor knows this. He did 30 inches, that's what was original. And we were talking to Pat in the code office to see if there's some way that we can get the back to go together so that the transition is not from 30 to 36.
So do these posts work or they don't?
That's what they're gonna have to vote on. But I feel like that 34 inches that you've got now would work. Then when you do the 36, it would look like it's.
Okay, because we have, it's 33 and a half what's there now.
Right, well, I just meant.
On the front and the sides, and none of that is above 30 inches off the ground till you get around to the back.
Right. So
So I guess, I mean,
they have to vote on it, but you know.
right. What I need, do I need to be getting this approved by the code department?
No, that's what we're working on.
We're
with
getting ready to
Brad,
vote
so
on it.
It is approved when we vote on it for you. So you don't have to go back to the code office.
If I could interrupt briefly.
So, well, I just have one question. They were 29 and a half originally, so if we would have just left that 29 and a half, that would have been fine?
Yes.
But now, since we're building it back, we have to go to a different,
I'll let you handle that, Laura.
He said it was different in the back, but not in the front.
Laura?
So we have confirmed with Patrick Kelly, the head of code, that you can do a shorter than what is current code standard on the front for the railings.
Okay,
So they can, by code, they could be 29, the 29 or the
Right.
33.
okay,
Yes. In the rear, because it is essentially a new porch, it's not a historic porch.
right.
They have to meet code height,
That's fine, and which is
which is 36.
36. Okay, that's what they, okay, we can do that, no problem.
And that's why
As long
we
as
were
someone
working
tells me
with
that.
Brad, because we were trying to get that transition to make that 30 look okay with or 34 to look okay, rather than going back to the 30.
Yes, ma'am.
Does anyone have any, Laura, do you have any?
No.
Okay.
Disagree.
Mark?
I'm good.
Okay.
But we still want to have the the handrails done correctly, with the double caps, round caps. You with me on that? What he's done
with
is
you.
not appropriate for the house.
Okay.
Is that doable?
I'll make it happen somehow. I mean, the last time I had those made for my house on Boulevard took about 2 months, but I'll see if I can have them made.
I mean, I'll be glad to come talk to Brad, because I think you can work it out with what you've been working with there.
But I don't have those. Yeah, I mean, we can't make those, if that's what you're talking about. If we have to make those round things, we can't make those.
Buy those. Those can be purchased. I've purchased those for other
Yeah,
houses.
okay. But yeah, I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I think we've got an agreement then. All right, do I have, anybody in the public have a question? Comment? No? All right. Do I have a motion?
Okay, can I word it? You want me to word it? I move that we approve the 34 inches in the front for the balustrade to go with the 36 inches in the back. And the example that he's used, this latest one, would be used as an example for the rest of the porch.
Okay.
In addition, they need to have the handrails need to be worked out with the same height as the balustrade, with the double newel post and the round caps, double caps on each side.
At 33 and a half as the new height, or at 29 as the original height?
No, we're gonna go up, so it
going- okay,
looks better
okay.
with the back.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Oh, go ahead, Laura.
You are also approving the deck on the back, correct?
The back,
The back deck, you're approving him to build the back deck.
okay, and then we'd approve on the foundation, I think you have a foundation, would do that. But you would do the same.
Yeah, it's the same dimensions, just a
and
wood
then
big
do
porch
the
like that.
same newel post and handrail.
Well, they're not on there. I'd rather not do that. I mean, that was just really that was added years and years after the house was built, so I really don't want to add cost. I've got this property sold, and everything I have doing is coming out of my pocket, so everything we're adding is an expense. But that's the way it looked when I bought it, so I'd like to keep it that way, without any newel post on top.
In the back, just in,
And it's all brand new, it's all brand new.
and that's just in the back.
Just in the back, yes.
But as you go out the side of the porch, you're gonna do the newel post?
I can do one there. There'll just be one because
Side, right?
the house there's only one landing.
This landing out here, Ms. Fay?
Yeah.
The one that comes
Yeah.
down this side?
Yeah, that would need the newel post to match the front.
Okay. Okay.
We're not trying to be hard on you.
I
We
understand.
really love what you've done.
I understand. It's just, when you get to a certain cost with these things, and
know.
it's not a.
No,
Okay, Faye, I'm going to need you to restate your motion.
what do I need to say?
Okay. Can I summarize the motion?
You may.
All right,
All right.
I've done the front, and with the double newel post and going out the porch, the front and the back. And then let's vote on the other separately.
So the motion I have from Ms. Fay says to approve with the 34-inch railings in the front, using the latest example put up by Brad that everybody has seen, and have the handrails to match the height with the double newel post, and to approve the rear porch in the same dimensions that you had taken down, using the same railings to match the front, but with no newel posts.
Add the double caps, round caps to the newel post.
Okay.
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 Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank y'all.
Motion passed.
much.
Thank you so much, we appreciate you. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have 130 South Broad Street. Well, actually, we'll give everybody a minute.
Yes. Okay.
All four of them? I don't know what's going on.
Give Ms. Fay a break.
Taking a break?
Ms. Fay is going to the restroom for,
Oh, okay, no, okay.
so we'll take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll be right with y'all.
Who's not here? 1:30?
The videos continue, we're still live.
Okay. Okay. We're about to pick it back up.
All right, this is, our next item is 130 South Broad Street in the Monroe Commercial Historic District. The request is for exterior changes, including signage and changing out the front door. This property was previously Butcher Block and most recently Nedsa's Donuts. And here is the proposed signage and building front. I do believe the sign has already been painted on the building. I don't know if he's put the door up yet, but the sign is up there. And I do not believe the applicant is present, although he was, I emailed him today and he,
I just talked to him today and he was coming.
yeah, he
But do you think that because I went, that he just thought he wouldn't have to come?
Well,
I'm sorry, but what happened, you went and did what? I'm sorry, may wanna find out what happened there.
for formality's sake, I'm going to go ahead and request, do I have anyone present for 130 South Broad Street, exterior changes and signage? Does not look like anyone is present. And Faye, you did say you had a site visit?
Yeah, I did, and talked to him, and he was concerned that, I mean, he wanted it done immediately, you know, so he was really anxious to bring it before us to get it approved.
right, and post your site visit, I also spoke to him over email and reminded him that he needed to be at the meeting, and he indicated he would be here, so.
I know he told me he was coming.
Then I guess we should table it,
Table it.
okay?
That's,
So,
I make a motion to table.
okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay,
You gotta vote.
What?
did you? Okay. Motion carried unanimously. Motion passed. 130 South Broad Street is tabled.
Until the June meeting?
Oh, yes, let's find the date for that. That is June, looks like it's is that the Is that the 27th? Laura?
Double checking.
Looking for next month?
Me.
27th, yes.
June 27th is when that one will be heard, okay?
Okay. For the record, can I have Mark restate the motion with the date?
Yes,
For the June 22nd?
27th.
27th, thank you. So yes, motion to table till June 27th meeting.
May I have a second? We'll
I'll
just,
second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Faye? Faye?
Yes.
You gotta vote.
Vote, yes.
To table.
Okay. Motion passed unanimously to table 130, to table 130 South Broad Street, exterior changes and signage to June 27th. Next on the agenda, we have new business request for COA. It's a shed, 110 Mirror Street.
Yes. Like Graceful Manor, this is Graceful Manor's neighbor. This is 110 Mirror Street in the Monroe and Walton Mills Historic District. They are requesting a 10 by 16 shed, which is way in the back here on their property. In the aerial map, it is, it's hard to see, but it is actually under these trees back here, and that is what the shed looks like.
Promise not to say a word. I've already had my say.
Is this, my question is that after driving, let's introduce you.
Sure. My name's Greg Gajownik, and I'm the executive pastor at Walton Community Church.
Thank you, Greg.
My question was this, I drove past, looked, got out and everything. Is this where the permanent, I mean, this is the plan to keep it in that space?
Well, we thought that would be the best place for it because if you notice right behind our building is our playground area. And so we couldn't move the shed there, so we moved it as far back on the property as we thought we could.
Does anybody have any questions? Katie, do you have
You
any?
know, I wanted the trim painted out, but
And we would be glad to do that.
Thank
We
you.
don't dictate paint.
the best example of that, and to understand where I'm coming from, is this new house that's being built up here. Do you see how they painted out that garage?
We can't talk about paint.
We can't talk about it, but now you get the gist.
So I'll make the motion to approve.
Well, before we get to that, do I
my bad.
have any questions from the public? Okay, go ahead, Mark.
I'll still make the motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I said aye.
Motion unanimously approved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
you.
coming in. Motion passed. Next on the agenda, we have request for COA signed 100 South Broad Street. Come on up.
Yes, all right, so our last application for today is for 100 South Broad Street. They're requesting signage. This is for the Row Restaurant, and here we have an image of what the restored facade looks like. And then they have two examples presented to the board here. This is the first one, and then the second one with the title of the slightly off-center and asymmetric. But those are the two possibilities.
Can I have you state your name into the microphone for the record?
My name is Chad Draper. I'm with Bolt Construction Group, and I'm here on behalf of the Row Restaurant.
Thank you.
For clarity, we do want to go with the one that's displayed on the screen now, which has the centered over the row, just for clarity. So these are aluminum letters that are stud mounted to the facade. So it will be a small hole drilled into the facade that will allow the letter to be attached, which will be unseen, so. And then the signage will be painted black, and then the gold color that makes up the word "the row" there.
This, the front, oh, question?
Anyone on the panel have any questions?
Well, yes, I have a design question, being an artist. That facade in the center, I think it's white, it's not centered, is it?
Well,
It looks
Faye,
like when
Are
I
you talking
stand.
about this part right here, Ms. Fay?
What?
Are you talking about this white part here?
Yes. You can't see, the fenestration, see up here?
I'm not
I
sure.
took a picture and I stood in front of the door, and it looks like that part is to the left of the fenestration on the building. This part right here, the fenestration, right here. And see how it looks like it's to the left of that? And
Like the sign will be over the white section more.
No, when you look at it, it's over the white, but not over the white on one side.
I do see what you're saying. I see it, but we can't discuss the facade. We have to discuss the sign
Well,
tonight.
that's what I'm talking about, the signage here, about the positioning of that signage.
I believe what you're pointing out, I think I see what you're pointing out. I believe if you move the sign to the left, it's going to be incredibly more obvious. if
Well, what
it's
I
not
was
in line.
Yes.
thinking, though, that if that V comes down into that and maybe overlaps the row part to give it more weight on that side, that visual side, so that you don't notice, it's so even at the top, you see what I'm saying? And then you've got this jut out here, that it's not as dramatic as I think it could be.
Is that
I'm
just an
throwing
optical
out a
illusion? Is that the way it is? It doesn't, it didn't seem
Not
like it's
sure.
that
I mean,
off-centered.
It's way off-centered. It's about a foot off-centered when you stand right in front of it. And when you put that row up there, it makes it more off-centered. But I don't know what, I'm just throwing it out at you. I like your ideas, but I just think you need to work on it a little bit to try to,
And I'm not an expert in this matter, and I appreciate what you're saying, but I think the only effect I think that it has this impact on is if you're actually directly looking at that door from across the street, maybe that has an impact on it. I mean, I'm looking at different photographs of it from a distance, and because that is recessed so far into the building at many different angles, I don't know that, I mean, I think you would appreciate that the sign is centered on the main facade. So that's kind of
I
the.
don't understand what the sign has to do with, I mean, I see what you're saying, but
yeah.
I think the optics of this photograph is what's kind of throwing things off a little bit.
No, it
if that
really
lobby
isn't.
is not
This
centered
is
on the
just
black,
bad
the
when you
sign is
stand
not
in front of it. Okay, then the other thing that bothers me is the V. It's like it's stuck out in space. I felt like if it was pulled in a little closer, a little tighter, that it would go, just like pull it down here a little bit more, so that it has more kind of continuity with this part. You see what I'm saying? Right now, it just looks like hen scratching. It doesn't really look like it's the row. That's just my thought. I like what you've done, though. It's just a little bit of tightening up the design.
Will they be
Can I ask us
aluminum
a
or
dumb
brass?
question? Can I ask Chad a dumb question? Why cross the H? It doesn't matter to me it's artistic, so I don't really,
yeah, I wasn't the artist here. I'm just here on behalf of the applicant to,
because it looks like, I mean, in English, you don't cross H's. So for the T to extend across, it looks like there's another
hard to
character
read.
there.
It's hard to read.
It actually looks like, it doesn't look like the, I mean, not just at a glance, at a look, it doesn't look like the when I read it.
Well, that's it. It looks like hen scratching. It doesn't look like the.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that you change that at all. I just was making an observation at all. I'm going to be quiet.
I don't know the artist thinking behind that. But
I thought maybe
very
there was some.
classic to me. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I thought there was some like cool symbology behind crossing the H or something.
Maybe so, I can certainly find that out.
Artsy.
So the proposal is just yay for the sign, correct?
Yes, the proposal is just for the sign.
Zero. Okay.
It's, what about the scale, what about the size for the code? I don't have any, I don't know.
The sign is fine,
Yeah,
size-wise, the sign
This is under.
fine.
Within code?
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
well within code.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is it illuminated, Chad? Is it backlighting or anything?
It's not backlit, no.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Does anybody have any questions?
We don't have any public.
Do you have a motion? I would ask the public, but we don't have anybody else here, so.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
More or less, yes.
okay.
Is that
A
a,
few tweaks,
Faye,
yes, with
Okay.
tweaks,
well,
What-
I need a yes or no.
yes.
yes.
Okay. Motion carried unanimously. Motion passed. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have an adjournment. Do I have a,
Can't bring up any new business.
no, ma'am.
Well, she sent us on an expedition today, though. We
No,
can't
no.
discuss that trip we went to. View that house?
No, ma'am, you cannot.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't
Motion,
realize that the house that
all
was
in
gonna be
favor?
demolished,
Hold on, Miss Fay,
Hold on, Ms. Fay.
we gotta,
the roof.
Ms. Fay,
Oh, yeah,
all in favor?
yes.
yes.
Okay, motion unanimously carried. This concludes the HPC meeting of May 23rd, 2023. We are adjourned.